How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Time to do another entry in sharing your stories, which, if this is the first video you're stumbling upon, this is a segment where I am just reading emails that have been sent to me by the community from people that have wanted to share their experiences, either with van life or just any other aspect of their life. The nice thing about this Van Life Plus community seems to be the absolutely incredible support that everybody has for each other. So let's just dive right into it, shall we? Shall we? Same. One thing I will say is I was just recently out in Banff. I did want to do an entry here and share some stories with the mountains in the background and everything, but it was far too cold to be outside reading stories for any length of time. So we will have to settle for the backdrop of my tiny home, which is, it's in a little bit of a state, but that's just because it's lived in. But don't worry, we will get some other background soon, I promise. All right, so without any further ado, the first story that has been sent in comes from Adriana. She writes in and she says, I love the stories that you've been sharing, and I love your channel as well. My name is Adriana. I am currently building out my minivan, and the plan is that I will be going full-time by the end of the year. I'm a single mom to 2 daughters that have grown up on me so fast. My youngest has 2 more years of high school, so I will be local to her until she graduates. After that, I'm just going to let the wind take me where it may. I'm moving into my van for multiple reasons. I have stage 4 breast cancer, which has spread to my bones and am now permanently disabled. I will be in treatment for the rest of my life, but I refuse to just sit here and waste away. I have dreamed of being a nomad for the majority of my life. Now that my babies are getting to the age that they don't need me so much, I want to make it a reality. Cancer has kicked me in the arse and made me want the nomad life even more. I'm afraid of dying and not having lived my dreams. Despite my physical health and limitations, I just want to live the life I want. I found you on YouTube and you've been such a joy to follow along with. Thank you for your realness and your honesty. It makes this next chapter of life not so scary. Keep on keeping on, and I look forward to watching you on your journey. Well, thank you very much, Adriana. I want to say I'm sorry for your situation, but it sounds like you don't need my stories. You seem to have your ducks in a row for sure. I can relate to a lot of that. Obviously, there's the issue at hand I can't relate to, but I can definitely relate to the idea of being a single parent and wanting to stick around. I'm just beginning that part of my journey for sure. Your babies are almost done that part of the journey. Sorry, Penny's making noise down there. And the whole idea of being scared of dying and not having lived the life you want to live. I don't know that I've really spoken about it too much in any of my vlogs. I may have mentioned it on a live or two, but yeah, I've been terrified. Like, mortality terrifies me, has my whole life. I know there's different ways I could get over that fear. But honestly, ever since I started my van life and living my life for myself, that has helped immensely, like an absolutely incredible amount. I don't know if this is in the frame or not. Put that down there if it is. So I'm very glad to hear that you're doing it. Again, I'm very thankful that you're part of this community, that you enjoy the content I'm putting out. And thank you for sharing your story. I think you're taking the first steps into your next chapter that's going to be, dare I say, the best part of your life. But don't think that there's not going to be some challenges along the way. But it seems like you're someone who stares down challenges, no problem. Thank you again, Adriana. Next story comes from Steffi. I'm wondering if that's short for Stephanie. I'm not sure if she's going to share or not. She writes in and she says, my name is Steffi. Years ago, long before YouTube was a thing, I was forced to live in my 1992 Dodge Dakota. With a very small back seat, didn't even have back doors. I lived between my work parking lot and Walmart before supercenters were around. I worked nights, so no one thought twice about a truck in the back of the parking lot throughout the day. I was only 20 and I had no pets, and as hard as it sounded to live in a small truck, it really was probably the only time I truly felt free. I had no real bills, no cell phone at the time either, and as a CNA, this was the only way I could save money because the medical field doesn't pay well. I wish back then YouTube and the nomadic way of living was out there for me to see, because I know I would have saved and gotten a small camper or a van and never moved back to this sticks and bricks way of living. But because of channels like yours, you have made me want to go back and to see it can be easier than when I did it. I'm now saving to get my dream nomadic home. Thank you for showing us it's possible and okay to live this way if we have to or want to. Love, Steffi's pack. Oh, is it like your backpack? That's kind of cool. Thank you very much for sharing, Steffi. Wow, a Dodge Dakota. You know, I had one of those once. Yeah, those are small trucks. Henny, come on. Come on. Up on the bed. You're very distracting walking all over the stuff. Houses and estate. But anyways, yeah, those Dodge Dakotas, they're very tiny. So, did you say how long you did this for? I don't think so. You were 20 years old. That's some grit and determination, girl. I know that the girl, no offense to the girls I grew up with around high school and right after. I don't know that they, I mean, maybe if they had been forced to, but I think that speaks to the generational difference. You said it was a 92 Dodge Dakota. You didn't say the year, but I can kind of take a guess because you said there was no Walmart Supercenters and you didn't have a cell phone and YouTube wasn't around. So this is quite a while ago. Yeah, it is almost too bad that the internet and YouTube wasn't around to show you that other people were doing it or being able to connect you with other people. That's kind of what we're doing now. I totally get the wishing it had been a thing then, but I love to hear that you're not giving up and just, oh, it's fine, I'll just watch you do it. You're still going to jump right back in. That's cool. Maybe, and even if you didn't, right, I'm just glad that you're here now and you're kind of getting an opportunity to be part of this community. I don't know, it's super cool. I've spoken about that before, how I love the internet because it can be such a valuable tool for bringing people together. And man, this last year of my van life has sure proven that to be true. Yeah, thank you very much for writing in, Steffi. All right. So this next one comes from Joel, aka Gumbo. And Joel writes in and he says, "Hey Matthew, my name is Joel. I'm a 70-something Long Islander transplanted from Brooklyn. Yesterday, Anne, my 81-year-old sister, passed on. She suffered from dementia. I watched her disintegrate over the past few months, and then she was gone. I watched the lights go out in that moment. So in these darkest of times for me and anyone else in this situation, you have been a lighthouse on foggy rocks. With that said, I wanted to just let everybody know that my plan is to head out to Quartzsite to see if there is anything for me there. I have a late model CRV, but have yet to figure out how to navigate my aching stiff body to sleep in the rear. Would love to get a van, but they are too expensive, even on Craigslist, and I have a nut on my current vehicle." Assuming that means maybe a loan, I'm not sure. "Trying to prep the vehicle. In the meantime, it has long been a dream to travel the roads of BC and its beauty, in the process of getting an enhanced license from the state of New York in lieu of a passport, maxing out my credit cards to prep and feel the pressure, as I'm sure you are aware. At the moment, I'm getting my head ready for the funeral expenses. Most of my family has passed on, so the only people at the funeral home will be from my brother-in-law's family and the caretakers. In the Jewish faith, when someone dies, there is a person who sits with the body to ward off evil spirits until the burial. I think they are called a shaman. And through all of this mental chaos and darkness, yours is one of the channels I so look forward to viewing. It has become a light that cuts through the fog of depression and, yes, my reality. We all have our own meshuggahs to deal with, but you did say you wanted stories. I have a million of them, and I could keep you all entertained for days. Gratefully yours, Joel, aka Gumbo." And he actually included a photo of himself, his sister, and their cousin Alan, and their little spaniel, Pinky. Thank you very much for sending that in. In this one, I'm not going to share the photo. I don't know if that's something that you would have wanted me to do, Joel, or if you just wanted myself to see it. Let me know in the comments, or if you guys write in and send me photos, let me know if you're okay with me sharing them, because I can easily download them and add them to the video as well. For this one, I'm just going to keep the photo myself. I love it. It's like, it reminds me of looking through old photo albums of like my mom and my dad's and my grandparents. It's just like, y'all, you guys all look very happy. Except for your sister in the middle. She looked a little like, oh, I'm surrounded by these two knuckleheads. It's a really nice photo. I'm sorry to hear about your loss, and I'm sorry that this at this point is not very topical. You sent this in back in November, obviously, with everything that's happened with the channel and doing these sharing of your stories. Alongside, me being a dad in my work, I try to do them as quickly as possible. So I'm sorry that all the stories are not as topical, it's the best word, more or as recent as things happened. Your words were very kind. I'm very thankful that my channel can, sort of bring you a little bit of happiness. I'm excited that you're going to just say, sort of screw it and head out to Quartzsite and see what you can find. Yeah, I hear you about the vans ever since, I think the pandemic and the boom in the van life. Not so much the boom in the van life actual lifestyle, but maybe in the awareness of it online and more people getting into it. We're definitely seeing those prices skyrocket. Very much so. The story you say about in the Jewish faith, people sitting, I remember that. I don't know why. Most of my education from other religions and whatnot come from movies, but there was a movie with Jason Bateman and I think Tina Fey where they played brother and sister and had to go. I can't remember what it was called, but there's a whole secret. Somebody in their family had passed on. Someone in the comments, please let me know what that's called. It's called sitting something or something like that. But anyways, I can't imagine what you're going through. The loss of a loved one is never an easy time, Joel. Officially welcome to the community. I'm very glad that you're here. I'm sorry that my cat is scratching while I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but it's just the way it is. Stella, come on. Your timing is horrible. Thank you for writing in, Joel, and thank you for sharing. I hope you find what you're looking for down there in Quartzsite. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit jealous that you're going to Quartzsite. That's okay. One day we'll get there. All right, I got one more here. It's a longer one for sure. I haven't read this one yet. It comes from Sonia. I'm not going to read out her subject line just because I'm pretty sure the YouTube algorithm will strike my channel down. And if I have to edit any of your words, Sonia, I apologize. Hopefully I don't have to. I'm giving it a quick skim here. I think we might be okay. But Sonia writes in and she says, I'm hesitant to share this story because A, I'm sure you're bombarded with emails, and B, it's embarrassing. Well, I'm glad you wrote in regardless. Of course, people are going to be embarrassed when it comes to sharing stories. Let's dive right into yours. It's also super long, but I'll try to cut out the fluff and get to the point, although the backstory is important. I'm not a nomad yet, but I'm working on it. Background. I had a decent union job in my late 20s. I'm in my 40s now. I was an independent woman, did not need a man. Got knocked up, had twins, quit my job when they were 2.5 to stay home to raise them, and to get a BS degree in graphic design. $100,000 in debt now, so that sucks. Lost my self-worth, my identity, my money, but raised awesome genius kids. Cut to a few years ago. I hated my life. I hate where I am living. I hate my job. I wanted to die, but I love my kids too much to do that. I'm a great mom, not to sound conceited, but I am, and it took a lot of education, research, patience, and understanding to be a good parent, and they need me. So I figured I would just suck it up, focus on them, and wait till death frees me of all this bullshit. Now I have a shitty job that I hate and have been at it for 7+ years. I am an extremely hard worker, smart and valuable, but never compensated for it because they know I will do the job of 4 people no matter what, and it's killing me. I have applied at over 50 places trying to get a better job that pays more and is not wasting my time and skills. I'm falling behind because this job is way behind the times. No callbacks, nothing. So, I started thinking I need to pivot. Instead of waiting till I die, why not try to live? What really makes me happy? Well, it turns out nothing. So I thought, well, what makes me unhappy? Turns out a lot. So I decided to try to change that. The problem is I can't afford rent of my own anywhere. It would take my whole paycheck. It's impossible. I can't even get a decent car to live in because loans are impossible to get. I thought about where I would like to live, but I don't know. So that is how the idea of being a nomad came to mind. That way I can travel to find out where I would be happy. I've always wanted to be a big, rich ad man / graphic designer living in a high-rise by the lake. I live in Chicago, Illinois. But that wasn't going to happen. So what's next? A tiny home with goats and chickens and a garden would be my second choice, but where and how? Can you tell that I'm a Gemini? For the past 3 years, I have been watching copious amounts of YouTube and researching and documenting and saving my money to leave once my kids graduate high school. 2 more years. But of course, the affordable options of a scamp doubled in price. So I started researching cargo trailers, an even more affordable option. Those have quadrupled in price, literally. So now I'm right back to nothing being affordable, even a car. But I'm still saving and hoping that by the time I get there, things will have chilled out and I will have the money to get a car and a cargo trailer. Then I will travel and figure out seasonal jobs or some crap just to get by. Anyway, that's my story. Love your channel. Wish you the best. Thanks. Signed, Sonia. Well, Sonia, I'm very glad you wrote in and shared that. Absolutely. It's not only, I mean, I understand why you would say it's embarrassing, but it's brave. Because to say that you were at this lowest low and you were having these thoughts, what I think a lot of us do throughout our lives, there are moments where we feel so down that we just want it. Just let it go. Give us a sweet release of death. I can sympathize with that. I'm glad to hear that you in accordance with the subject line of your email, I'm glad to hear that you've sort of turned that corner, especially obviously for the obvious reasons. I don't think there's anything wrong with calling yourself a good mom. I don't think there's enough people in the world that can say that. So there's absolutely scream that from the top of the mountain. And it's hard to, I mean, you're not asking for advice, but it feels like at the end of all of these little segments, I should say something and respond to the stories that have been sent in. Otherwise, I mean, I guess I could. If you guys don't like me to respond to them, I'll stop. But everybody feels that, well, it's not so much a pinch right now, or not so much a pressure, but how shitty it is with how expensive everything is. And it's just going to get worse for the foreseeable future. I'm glad you've got the mentality to stay sort of buckled down, keep saving, and keep dreaming. I did that for a very long time. A very long time, actually. There were plenty of times where I thought, well, it's never going to work for me. I even started by saying, well, this is just fun to watch. I'll just live vicariously. It's never going to be a lifestyle that I'll live. And even now, it's not what it was when I was watching it on certain YouTube channels. I'm not traveling around. I'm not trying to, see every place there is to see in my immediate vicinity. I would love to do that for sure, but my situation is different, and that is fine. So that adjusted for my life. And I think if you stay focused and keep looking, don't ever stop looking. You never know when you might come across something. And don't limit yourself to specific things. Don't limit yourself to a car and a trailer. Don't limit yourself to a van or a camper. Make sure you're keeping all of your options open and just keep looking, because if I've learned anything when it comes to that market, or any market really, it takes a matter of minutes for the right thing to turn up. And I will leave you with this by saying, keep your head held high, keep grinning and bearing it. This world would be a little less bright if you weren't in it. And I know that your kids would want you to stick around for a lot longer. Days suck for sure. We all have shitty ones, but that's why we got to try to find the humor in every situation. Even if it seems like it's inappropriate to do so, try to find something that makes you laugh. Like they say, laughter really is the best medicine. Anyway, I'm going to leave this entry here, you guys. Thank you for watching. If anybody has any feedback that they would like to share with any of the stories I read today, please do so in the comments below. And if you would like to send your stories in and have me read them here for the community, please don't hesitate. Send those into vanlifepluscontact@gmail.com. I would be more than happy to continue sharing your guys' stories. If you have submitted a story and you feel like it's taking me a while to get to it, I promise I will. And I will leave this one here until the next one. You guys go out there, be happy, be creative, be yourselves. Most importantly, be positive. And I'll see you all in that next one.